In this lesson, we are looking at an ellipse. An ellipse is a set of all points in a plane whose distance from two fixed points in the plane have the same sum. And the fixed points are the foci of the ellipse. And the line through the foci is the focal axis. And the point on the focal axis midway is the center. And the point where the ellipse intersects the axis is what we call the vertices. And let me just illustrate a little bit. So if I take a piece of string, I tie it there, and then I tie a pencil and then start drawing. See this distance, if I call it A, the piece of string, B, so I add A plus B, then I move my string to another location. I'm moving it around, and let's say it's right here now. Then I'm going to call this distance like EF. E plus F is going to be the same as A plus B. So those distances will keep being constant because the pieces of string where I have tied my pencil is the same. I'm just using that to make a round object, which we call the ellipse. What else do we need to remember when we are looking at the ellipses? So we need to remember this equation, the standard equation of the ellipse. This is when it's opening along the x-axis. That's where when the major axis is along the x-axis. So you can see it's from the vertices are negative a0 to a0. So the semi-major axis is A, semi-major axis is B, just half of it. And we also need to know the Pythagorean relationship, this equation here. And note that, I want you to know that, see, when the ellipse is opening along the horizontal axis, you can see the x squared is the first variable. When it's opening along the y-axis, you can see the y squared right there. So that can help you to know where it's opening. Okay, so here we are given an example, and examples help us understand our lesson better. Okay, find the vertices and focus of the ellipse. X squared plus 16 squared is equal to 64. See, this looks different. We need to start by rewriting it to look like the equation we already know. So we are going, it's always equal to 1, so we divide everything by 64. By 64, and when we do that, when we divide everything by 64, what do we get? We get x squared over 16 plus y squared over 4 is equals to 1. So there is the equation. So I just need to know that a squared is equals to 16. So that means a is equals to 4. I need to know b squared is 4. So b is equals to 2. So I know that information. I also need to find c. So using a squared plus b squared, okay, a squared is equals to b squared plus c squared. So I know a squared is 16 is equals to b squared, which is 4, plus c squared. I want to get my focus. Okay, so this becomes, what does it become? So c squared is equals to, subtract 4 from both sides, is equals to 12. So c is the same as plus or minus square root of 12. The same as plus or minus square root of 4 times 3, which is 2, square root of 3. And something else you also need to remember here, there should be plus or minus, and this also should be plus or minus. So what does that mean? Let's get all the information we need. Find the vertices. I'll use vertices, V for vertices. The vertices are going to be 0. So this ellipse is on the major axis, is going to be over here on the x-axis, because it starts with the x-axis. So the vertices are going to be, and this is A, so the vertices are going to be 4 plus or minus 4, 0. And I also can find the co-vertices. That's where the, see, like this is 4, 0, negative 4, 0, and this one here is 2, 0, I mean not 2, 0, but negative 2, 0. That's it, negative. So 2, 0, 2, and negative. So 0, negative 2. So the core vertices are plus or minus. So 0, plus or minus 2. That's what we are supposed to find. Then write the focus. Forgot the focus here. The focus is going to be along the x-axis. So it's going to be plus or minus 2 square root of 3, 0. Okay, we go to the next one. Find the vertices and focus of this one. See, like this one is going to open along the y-axis like that. And here we are going to, moving on, so we come back to this one. So that means a squared is equals to 36. So that means a is equals to plus or minus square root of 36, which is equals to plus or minus 6. And then b squared is equals to 27. So that means b is equals to plus or minus square root of 27, which is equals to 9 times 3 plus or minus 3 square root of 3. Okay, now let's find c. A squared is equals to b squared plus c squared. So b squared is square root of 27. Oh, did I say square root of 27? So b squared is 27 plus c squared, and a squared is 36. So I subtract 27 from both sides. So minus 27 minus 27. So c squared is equals to 9. So c is equals to plus or minus 3. Now all we need to do is to write the vertices. Vertices are going to be, just need to find a 0 plus or minus 6. So right here, so the 6 co-vertices are going to be 3. Where's b? I need to find to know the value of b, which was 3 square root of 3. So 3 square root of 3 plus or minus 0. And the focus is on the y-axis. So it's going to be 0 plus or minus 3. Okay, now so here now let's see how we can sketch an ellipse here, given some information. Find an equation of an ellipse whose focus is 0, -3, and -3. So what do we know about this ellipse? So that means C is going to be C. So, and we can sketch it here. So we know it's on the y-axis. So let's sketch it here. Then we should. So we sketch it here. So on the y-axis, and the focus is 0, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's the focus right there. And then what else do we know? The minor axis has a length of 4. Okay, so that means from one edge to the other, from this edge to the other, that is 4. So the only thing we need to get, so if C is 3 and B is half the length, which is 2, so we can do C A squared is equals to B squared plus C squared. So this is going to be 4 plus 9, which is equals to 12. And then the next thing we need to know, do we have the equation? We know A squared, we know B squared, and the equation just becomes, so A squared is square root of 12. So what does that mean? So square root of 12, see, it's going to be 3 point something, which is going to be about there, and then we will be able to sketch it. So the equation, because that's what we are interested in here, is going to be, we're going to start with y squared here because it's on the y-axis. Y squared over A squared, which is 12, x squared, so B squared is 4, is equals to 1. So that's the equation.